it's all part of the city.
And what were you saying about this place right here, the Seven Brothers?
This is like a tomb. We call it Turbe of Sedam BRAĆE. It's like a story. 7 good people were buried here. And what people like to do, people without knowledge, you see, you have on each door, you have like a small zip where you put money through.
They actually put money in here?
Yeah, they put money in here. You see? After every time you put some money inside, you like make dua. But people believe that actually the people who are buried here will help them to connect to Allah. People don't know what they're doing, so they're doing a big mistake.
Seems like a lot of people who I've interviewed over the years who've left Christianity, Catholicism, because of this very thing. They wanted to pray directly to the Creator on that pure monotheism, and they left what was called, we know as Shirk, but it's strange that we're finding it even amongst us, the Muslims.
Yeah.
How you doing, Cox?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us like what you were doing?
Ne znam ni ja baš najbolje, ali koliko sam upućen, ovdje se nalazi 7 osoba. Nalazi 7 osoba koje je zadesla ista sudbina.
So what he says, he actually doesn't really know much about the place. He says what he knows is that 7 people who had the same fate, who died the same way, are buried here.
I noticed that you were praying. Who were you praying to?
Kad primijetio je onaj da moliš se ovdje, kaže, pa ga zanima šta si molio, kome se molio ovdje.
Znate kako kažu, proučimo, mi se samo molimo Allahu. To je prije svega i mi na ovaj način pokušavamo potaknuti osobe koje su također bliske Allahu da se i one mole za nas.
Okay, so what he says, basically he prays only to Allah, but what he does here is he tries to get people who are buried here to pray for them to Allah. Yeah.
Have you ever had time to really study the core fundamental belief of Islam called Tawheed?
Pitate da li si kad imao vremena da studiraš malo Islam, šta je u stvari tevhid u Islamu?
Tawheed.
Pa nisam baš imao toliko vremena da proučim to sve, ali čitao sam dosta toga, recimo i hadise i sve to.
Yeah. You know, the beautiful thing about our deen is that Allah has told us through the Prophet that we don't need to go through anybody, that Allah hears, sees all, and we can go straight to Him. We don't have to go through any middleman. Isn't that beautiful?
Kaže on, prelijepa stvar u našoj vjeri je što je Allah dželešanu omogućio nama da se direktno njemu obraćamo bez ikakvih posrednika. Kaže, to je ta prelijepa stvar u Islamu, koja se zove u stvari tevhid.
Do you say tawheed or tawheed? Same thing in...
Yeah, it's the same thing. Some people spell it wrong. They say tawheed instead of tawheed. Yeah. So tawheed, but rarely people know what it means.
This was one of the things that really attracted me to Islam, is that direct connection with Allah. That I didn't have to pray to a human being, to a saint, to an angel, to anyone other than Allah alone. That was so beautiful.
Što je njega privuklo Islamu je da ne mora ni da ima direktnu konekciju sa Bogom, sa Allahom. To jest da ne mora ići pred nekog popa ili frata ili šta ja znam, da bi stvorio tu konekciju ili pred bilo kojim mrtvim da bi ga povezao sa njegovim gospodarom. Kaže, ta direktna veza sa Allahom ga je privukla.
And I've interviewed hundreds of Christians and other people of other religions, and what they love about Islam, these strange superstitions, incantations, these things that they found in Christianity and Catholicism, and now some people see it coming into Islam, you know, which is not a part of it. They love this teaching of it, that you don't need to do any strange superstitions. There's no one between you and Allah, and this is something that really attracts people. It goes with our human nature.
Kaže, on je pričao sa stotinama kršćana, ljudi koji su sad zainteresovani za Islam, upravo zbog toga što nema puno sujevjera u Islamu, nego imate tu direktnu vezu sa Allahom, 5 puta dnevno se molite Bogu i tako. Uglavnom, nisam baš dobar provodioc, ali...
Ma dobro, odlično, super.
What's your name?
Nice to meet you. Jasmin.
Drago mi.
Ime, tako je.
Okay. Allah imanet.
Allah imanet.
That's the beautiful thing, that our deen, you know, see, every messenger that Allah sent, they exactly came to call people away from this type of thing. That human beings sometimes would deviate and they would start to put intermediaries between them and Allah. So Allah will send these messengers, Moses, Abraham, Jesus, David, Ishmael, Isaac, and the last and final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And they all taught us, and the last and final messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we don't need no middlemen, that we don't pray to anybody, no dead saint in the ground. We don't even know who at the end of the day is officially a saint, who's close to Allah, unless it's mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. So we pray only to Allah. We don't have to pray to anybody else because there's a very thin line there. And that very thin line is what we're trying to stay away from, because it's the one thing that will prevent someone from entering into the mercy of Allah, into the Jannah, and could get someone into the hellfire by committing shirk, by setting up partners with Allah. So may Allah protect us from that, and may we only do something that is just so simple to understand and do, that we only make dua, that we only pray, that my life, my sacrifice, as Allah says in the Quran, is only to the one God, Allah. Pure monotheism.
Said they're not praying to them, they give charity, this goes to students, like scholarships, they praying to God. But you see, they got like, they should put a sign at least, if that's what.
Yeah, so we know
doesn't make sense.
what we talking about before. When you, this is like the 101 of Islam, of Tawheed. You see, we have the three categories of Tawheed. So when you study those three, the Lordship, Allah's names and attributes, of worship. So these things, when they're connected, they're all one. So my worship, my dua, my prayer, in this case, only for Allah, nobody else. Allah is all hearing, all seeing, all knowing. So He has those perfect names and attributes that only belong to Him. He's one in that. So anyone else who comes along and says some imam or anyone can hear all, see all, that's a breaking of the Tawheed. And when you really know Tawheed, then you know your deen. And that's when we were asking the brother, had he studied this? He said, not really. So advice for all the people out there in humanity, Muslims, non-Muslims, and this is what you see, the not yet Muslims, when they study Islam and they get to know the Tawheed, they accept Islam. But then you have Muslims who really don't know the Tawheed, the pure monotheism, then they jump in and they get caught up into these things. And there's the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that one knowledgeable person is heavier on shaitan than 1,000 worshippers. Because what happens if you don't have the knowledge, you'll get taken for a ride.
Yes, and one imam here in Sarajevo, he said a very interesting thing, that we as Muslims should understand that we are much bigger prize for shaitan, so that shaitan will do much harder work on us than on somebody who's not a Muslim. So he say, like, when you're not a Muslim, shaitan did his job. But if you're Muslim, he'll do anything to trick you, to fool you. So this thing is one of these examples where a Muslim is putting hard work in, and he is unfortunately succeeding to trick many Muslims who don't have this basic knowledge of Islam. He basically told us that they don't pray to these people, that this goes to charity, but we know from the example that people don't understand it in that way, that they understand it completely wrong. So they should at least put a sign to explain, or why would you even put money where the grave is? Like, we know that this tradition is wrong. Like, whoever reads it, it's obvious it's wrong. But now, for one interest or another, it's being wrapped around to fit everybody. But the deen is straight. You know what's deen.
Well, we see a lot of times people want to usually take a shortcut. So now you'll see many people not really studying the deen, not praying, not doing many of the other acts. So you want to take a shortcut and you want to put, you know, $1, a mark, a penny, whatever the case, and now you think you can get a shortcut. There's no shortcuts in the deen. So you have to live the deen according to the Quran, the verbatim word of God, Allah, and the Sunnah. So we don't find any of this in there sanctioning this, but we do find doing things like this are what constitutes shirk.
works here, asked him. He said, "Oh, this has been here for 500 years." Like this is the common argument we get when we get to these things that are not comparable with Sharia. That's all. It's been here for 500 years, 600 years. Why would somebody come with something new to change it? So we can see how the shaitan tricks people to give some excuses and not look at it straight and how it is.
And one thing I advise my brothers and sisters out there is anything that Allah SWT had made prohibited, it's clear. You don't have to do a lot of research. So spend some time, make dua directly to Allah, and do your homework. And inshallah, Allah will make it clear. But if we're going to follow our nafs, our desires, and blindly imitate people we've seen doing things, we're going to fall into these trips and traps of shaitan. And we're going to block ourselves from the mercy of Allah, and which is vast. And we're going to fall into we're going to get pimped by the shaitan. And where's shaitan going to end up? In hellfire. And we don't want to end up in hellfire. So learn the tawheed, the pure monotheism, and stick to the Quran and Sunnah, and we'll be successful inshallah in this life and the next. This is more of a superstition.
Superstition.
That people are here looking for some kind of good luck, good fortune.
Good luck, yeah.
Something good to happen to them, so they're coming here. Why are they going to come from all over places? Yeah. And you see, this is an epidemic. You see this with Christians, with Hindus, with all, and this is why Islam is unique, because Islam cancels all this out. Islam on the Tawheed, the pure monotheism, sets a limit. I mean, a line. And you can't cross that line of associating partners with other than Allah. So you don't pray to anyone, to a stick, to a stone, to a bone, to a human being, a dead person in the ground. Nothing in creation but the one who created you. That's so simple and easy to understand. But people always want to take a shortcut.
Yes,
so now you want to take a shortcut, and you.
This is a shortcut.
So this comes into the effect of good luck charms, like a rabbit's foot, you know, a cat crossing the street, black cat,
like a medallion,
Phil John. Oh look, you know, the black magic and all this stuff. Now you want to throw this in there and try to make it halal. Yeah. It's not halal. It's haram. It's shirk, and we need to call it for what it is. And inshallah, people who don't know, maybe they didn't get the message.
Maybe they know now.
And if you didn't know, now you know.